Dear countrymen and women, my name is Proculious Mwape, coming to you from Mukoshi. Mukoshi is found in the central province of the Republic of Zambia. So I am the president of the Light of Zambia movement, which is basically a political movement. So today I would like to discuss or to talk about the national matter that has befallen our nation, of the death of our late president, Dr. Edgar Lungu, who died on the 5th of June 2025 in South Africa. So I know everyone in the country by now knows what has happened, knows the impasse that has unfolded in our country, and that the body of the president, the former president, Dr. Edgar Lungu, is still in South Africa, and we hear a report from South Africa that the family of Dr. Edgar Lungu are even thinking of burying the remains of our former president right there in South Africa instead of bringing them back here into Zambia. So I would like to maybe render my small piece of advice to whom it may concern. So, of course, I don't have to overemphasize why it is important to have the remains of our former president brought back into our country. That everyone understands. Morally speaking, we know that him being the head of state, a former head of state, is supposed to be buried where every other head of state has been buried in Zambia, those that have died. So, and obviously that is logically sensible, that is the correct thing to do as a nation. Now, it worries me to hear that there are these thoughts or sentiments of maybe going ahead and burying our late president in South Africa. So now, I got forced to speak because this is not good. And especially that we have seen here in Zambia at Memorial Park, we've seen even the grave of Dr. Edgar Lungu being dug and prepared already. Now, would it make sense that we have his body buried elsewhere, whilst we have an open grave here in Zambia? So that obviously doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm saying we have to find a solution, and I think it is not too late yet, as long as it's not, his remains are not put into a grave in South Africa yet. So, how can we maybe correct this unfortunate situation? I know all this has come about because of the disagreement that has befallen the two parties involved in this funeral, namely the state and the family, because they failed to reach an agreement as to how they are going to handle the funeral of our late president, and of course the burial program. So, if the family and the state have failed to agree, then I sat down and thought to myself, who would be maybe the right people to come in and help us solve this very big problem that we're about to face in Zambia? And I only settled on traditional leaders. I believe that traditional leaders are supposed to be neutral. They are not politically charged. And because of their position of being not politically charged, it gives them maybe a good position to maybe mediate in this whole issue of bringing back the remains of our former president, Dr. Edgar Lungu. Now, there are those that would argue, no, it doesn't matter wherever he can be buried wherever, as long as he's buried, because the dead know nothing, and it doesn't matter because it's going back to the soul. Wow, I know that Zambia is a country which loves scripture, biblical scripture that is. And when we consider the Bible, you would hear of what happened to Joseph when he went to the land of Egypt. There he said to his children to say, I know for sure that at some point Elohim, our Creator, is going to visit you people, my children, the children of Israel. When that time comes, please make sure that you carry with you the bones, my bones, that will be buried here in Egypt, you have to go with them where you are going back to my home country. So, what does that maybe teach us? What do we learn from that? Well, it teaches us that bones are important. That is to say, mortal remains are important. Therefore, we have to put them or to bury them where they are supposed to be buried. Do you see? And we've seen many other examples in the Bible. For example, you know how the bones of Prophet Elisha managed to resuscitate somebody to come back to life. You see? I know people would argue to say, no, it was not the bones that did that, it was the Almighty. Yes, but it was the Almighty that worked through the bones of Elisha. So, that gives us a picture of how important these bones are, or how important these mortal remains are. So therefore, what is my appeal? My appeal is to Your Royal Highnesses across our nation Zambia. Please come together. You are the only hope in this whole issue. Come together, come up with a program, devise a program that is going to see to it that the remains of our late President, Dr. Edgar Lungu, are buried here in Zambia, in his home country. So I know it is not difficult for you to do that. Even the Lungu family, I believe and I understand fully that they belong to a certain chiefdom. They come from a certain chiefdom. Let these chiefs speak to the Lungu family. Tell them this is what is required of them to do. Let the body come here. If it means them, the chiefs, going there to fetch the body, that is okay. As long as the body is buried right here in Zambia. I think that is what will make sense, and that is what will be in tandem with our moral, traditional, and cultural beliefs, as opposed to burying the body and the remains of a former president in another country. That is not looking good, and that would make Zambia become a laughingstock. And we don't want to be such a bad example to the world. So please, Your Royal Highnesses, I encourage you to transcend over politics and just do what is right for us. Bring back the body of the late President, Dr. Edgar Lungu, so that they are buried where all his colleagues, all his, our former presidents are buried. And that would, I think, make his soul be happy, as opposed to having him buried elsewhere. We are not at war here in Zambia. We aren't fighting anyone. So why should the board of a former president fail to come back to his home country? So traditional leaders, Your Royal Highnesses, our leaders, stand up. Let these politicians stay away if it means them staying away. But you, being who you are, stand up, speak to the family of Dr. Edgar Lungu, find common grounds of bringing back the body here in Zambia and bury it here in Zambia. And I think if we do that, then we are going to write a good history for ourselves, as opposed to having that body buried in South Africa. What sort of history are we writing for ourselves? And do we know even the implication, the spiritual implication of such an act? I've just cited some scriptural examples here where we see people respecting remains of the dead. Why shouldn't we do the same for our head of state, former head of state? So please, to those of you that will listen to this video or watch this video, please make sure that it reaches the traditional leaders in Zambia. And maybe this is one thing that I have to mention now. This is exactly why we say in the Light of Zambia movement that democracy is not a good system of governance. And it will keep manifesting its bad attributes just like it is doing right now. Imagine if this happened in a monarchy. Surely by now we could have mourned our late president with that dignity and offered him the befitting send-off so that he goes to his final resting place. But because of politics, all this that is happening in our country today is all because of politics. Take away politics, we are going to have a normal situation in our country. And we are going to have a dignified mourning period and a dignified send-off program and ceremony for our former head of state. So please let us make sure that we do the right thing so that history does not look back at us and laugh at us. Those are the few words I wanted to pass to our chiefs. Please stand up for us and do the right thing for us so that we continue on the good path, that the track record that we've kept of being a peaceful nation, of being a nation of people that love each other. So those are the few words I wanted to say. I can only wish that there be light in Zambia. Thank you.